to look for new ways to learn and to improve your skills. Now, speaking of learning, our final speaker for today is Mr. Bjorn Pardo from UBX. Bjorn has been building digital ventures for entrepreneurs and SMEs for over 15 years. His experience spans across many different industries, from logistics to e-commerce to financial services and everything in between. He is currently leading SME ventures at UBX, which includes the payments platform Box and the online store builder Cento. Please welcome Mr. Bjorn Pardo.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to share some of my learnings and share some of my experiences with all of you today. As mentioned earlier, I'm leading SME ventures over at UBX. But something that I do want to highlight for everyone is that I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm also an entrepreneur like everyone watching out there. I started off my career, or my professional career rather, is selling online. I started selling online, as a teenager on eBay, which led me to, wanting to build different solutions, different ventures for SMEs and for entrepreneurs. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. I'm going to be talking a little bit about some of the changes that have been happening in the world that has affected e-commerce, and some key trends that I think that everyone can take advantage of now. So I'm going to share my screen really quick. Okay. So what I'm going to be talking about today are some key e-commerce trends that anyone can implement now. But before I get into these e-commerce trends, I wanted to highlight how much e-commerce is growing all over the world, specifically in the Philippines, right? So as we all know, the pandemic has accelerated many things, and e-commerce is one of those things. Right now in 2021, I'm sure many of you are, buying food online, buying different types of things online, and some of you, or maybe some of your relatives or friends that are just experiencing e-commerce for the first time this year. So right now in 2021, there's about 5 billion pesos worth of goods being transacted and sold online. And that's a lot. But as you can see, by 2025, that's going to triple, and probably even more, right? Because of the pandemic, I think this 15 billion number could be closer to 20 billion. And this presents a lot of opportunities. And I'm going to be talking about some of those opportunities and some of those things that you can do now. I'll start off with the first trend. And the first trend is social commerce. And I know what everyone's thinking, that that you can sell on Facebook and Instagram and all that. And that's true. But, not particularly because of the pandemic, but I think because of the pandemic, a lot of people have been open to exploring different types of social media websites. And it's not about Facebook and Instagram anymore, or just about Facebook anymore. There's so many more platforms that people are on, that your customers are on, that you're on, that could help your business. And as we all know, I think it's been said many times, is that the Philippines is a social media capital of the world, and because of all these new platforms, I think it's opening the doors to many more customers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of those other social media platforms and what you can do with it and what others are doing with it. So the most obvious social network now is Facebook, and I'm pretty sure everyone has a presence on Facebook. Whether it's just showcasing your items or connecting with your customers and your community. But nowadays, Facebook in particular and their group of companies, namely, WhatsApp and Instagram, have made a lot of improvements to their platform to make their platforms much more transactional, where you can actually complete transactions on their platforms. And I'll give you an example of that a little later. But it's more than just those main social media platforms, right? There's a lot more newer ones that are coming or that are becoming popular now, and a lot of those are very visual. TikTok, Snapchat, and a lot of people are also getting into YouTube as well. So you can see that it's no longer about just static images or static posts. It's really becoming a lot more immersive and interactive with these new visual channels, right? And kind of related to the visual channels is live streaming. And I'm not sure if everyone has participated in any live stream I guess event, but it is becoming increasingly popular. There are, aside from Facebook, there's a homegrown social media platform in Kumu that is doing a lot around live streaming and a lot around e-commerce. And even the big marketplaces are getting into live streaming, Shopee Live and Lazada Live. But you don't have to be on those big marketplaces to participate in live streaming. Facebook and Instagram and YouTube have tools available now that can help you start live streaming today. And live streaming may not be for everyone, but for if you're selling products that need a 360 view, that need some sort of demo, live streaming might be an option for many of you. This slide alone deserves its own presentation. I'm not going to get too much into detail here because there's a lot of other trends that I'd like to discuss, but I will kind of show you a screenshot of something that's very easy now, and that's something that you can probably do with your existing social media presence right now, right? I'm sure many of you, or probably most of, if not all of you, are already on Facebook. And this is an example of making a conversation, making your presence on Facebook transactional, right? And you can see in the screenshot, it starts off as a conversation, but then you can actually complete an order within a Facebook Messenger, right? And you can't really necessarily do this alone. You're gonna need help of a third-party service, but there's a lot out there, right? And this one in particular is made by a company called ChatBuddy, and you just have to connect your Facebook account to their platform, and you can start selling on Facebook Messenger right now, right? And I think some of you might be thinking that you can already do that, and you can, right? But what you can do now without the help of a third-party platform is going to be limited. You're going to have to maybe chat with your customers yourself or someone on your staff. You're going to have to manually give payment details. You're going to have to manually verify payment that come in. But with the help of a third-party platform, this can all be automated, and you can literally sell and chat with your customers while you're sleeping. And this leads me to to the second trend, right? And just like I said earlier, the pandemic has accelerated many things, and it has definitely accelerated digital payments. And what I mean by digital payments, I guess in the Philippine context, is any payment method that is that's not cash. Pre-pandemic, e-commerce was dominated by cash-based payment methods, cash on delivery, paying over the counter, paying over at a bank or at a pawn shop or other payment methods like that. But in just a short few months, we have seen digital payments overtake cash from the platforms that we're running at UBX. As mentioned earlier, we have a payments platform called Bucks, and pre-pandemic, I can tell you that the vast majority of payment methods or payments were transacted through over-the-counter payments. And as soon as within a few months after the pandemic started, e-wallets such as GCash and GrabPay, online banking have now overtaken cash. And I'm going to show you a little bit of some of those options, right? E-wallets have become very, very, very popular in the past 12 months. GCash being the leader, closely followed by PayMaya and GrabPay. GrabPay is an emerging e-wallet option that we're seeing a lot of traction in. And just to give you a sense of how much it has grown, the e-wallets in particular, it was announced just a few days ago that GCash just surpassed 40 million users, right? And that's just about half of the population, right? So if you remove all of the minors and just kind of consider adults, you could say that the vast majority of adults are on a digital platform, right? So I think it's important that you open up your platform or your store to e-wallets if you're not accepting already. Another payment channel that has significantly increased is online banking. And I know that many of you are probably thinking that it's very hard to accept all these methods of payment because you'll have to sign up one by one with every platform, and it's going to be very hard to manage 10 different payment methods and verify all these payment methods. And it is very hard if you take that route. And because of that problem, that's something that we at UBX saw even before the pandemic is that there's a lot of payment methods out there, and every one of your buyers may prefer a different method, right? One of your buyers may just have an account with BPI. One of your buyers may just have a GCash account and not any of the other e-wallets. And I think pre-pandemic or even maybe a year or two ago, you as a seller, you as an entrepreneur could funnel your buyers to your preferred payment methods, but that's no longer the case now, right? The competition is much more fierce. There's a lot of people selling online that are waiting to take away your customers, right? So it's very important that that you accept as many payment methods as possible, so you can protect yourself from some of these risks. And that's something that we realized early on at UBX, and that's why we created Bucks. And so what Bucks does is it aggregates and just consolidates all of the payment methods available into one solution. So you don't have to, open a bank account in 10 banks. You don't have to have an account, a separate account with every single e-wallet. All of that is taken care of, through Bucks, and you can accept everything all in one go, just one sign up, and it's really that easy. And so that brings me to the next trend, and that's going direct to consumer. And what I mean by that is really going direct to your customers. This is, there are a lot of platforms out there that help you sell online, like Lazada, like Shopee, for some traditional e-commerce products. And if you're selling food, there's Grab Food, there's Food Panda, and the like. And those platforms are great, but what it prevents you from doing is really creating a meaningful relationship with your customer. And sometimes it eats into your profit margins a little too much. And I'll kind of get into some of those drawbacks, and some actually not really the drawbacks, but really the benefits of going direct to consumer and creating a relationship with your customer, right? And as I said earlier, sometimes it may eat into your profit margins a little too much. There are, some of these platforms do charge hefty commissions, which sometimes is a little too much. It allows you to create a much better customer experience because it's your own. You are not going to be limited and confined or limited to how a third-party platform works. And again, it helps build brand loyalty. It helps you develop a relationship with your customer. And there's a lot of platforms out there that allow you to do this, right? The most famous one probably is Shopify. It's a global e-commerce platform that is used by tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of e-commerce entrepreneurs all over the world. WooCommerce is another global option. PrestaShop is another, and although you can go direct to your customer and create your own website through some of these platforms, some of the drawbacks are the ability to integrate local payment methods, whether it's the ability to integrate or whether it's the ease of integrating. Sometimes it's not as straightforward as a click of a button. Sometimes it requires installation of a plugin or integration with an API or something a little bit too technical for some people. And really just the customized experience, for the Filipino entrepreneur and Filipino buyer, right? I think that these are all great solutions, but for you to succeed in the Philippines, sometimes it requires a much more localized experience. And this is also another thing that we recognized over at UBX, and that's how we created Central. And we want to also have this as another option for all of you entrepreneurs out there, where you can, what we were trying to tackle all of these pain points in our solution, in that we wanted to make it really built for the Filipino SME and really easy for you to set up with everything that you need. So we really thought hard about making sure that payments was comprehensive, complete, and very easy to include. And same thing goes for shipping and delivery of your product, because right after you sell a product, the next thing that you have to do is ship it out. And sometimes you may not know what the cheapest option is, or the fastest option is, or you may just know some of the main name brand courier companies that require you to go to their branch, which is inconvenient. So another thing that we really thought hard about, aside from payments, is delivery. And so we've integrated logistics directly, or delivery and logistics directly into the platform, and we're building more integrations on our end, so you guys don't have to worry about that. And so in literally minutes, you can start selling. We've created a very easy to use interface where you can choose a theme, upload your logo, add your items, add your products, and payments and logistics is already pre-integrated. You don't have to think about that, and you can literally start selling in a matter of minutes. And best of all, it's free. So all you have to think about and pay for is really just those fees to accept payments. But the platform, the central platform itself, everything you need to start selling is completely free. And I wanted to share an example of one of our merchants who are selling on Central, and really because of some of these, I'll go back to the slide. Some of these reasons to go direct to your customer, and this is I wanted to give a real example of a store or of a merchant that is utilizing or implementing this strategy to really build brand loyalty, to create a better customer experience, and to increase their profit margins, right? So as I said earlier, the central platform is free, so you don't have to pay anything to the platform itself to start selling. And regarding the customized experience, right? There's some, particularly in food, somewhat, if you're a food merchant that requires a pre-order before you actually bake or make a certain dish, that's not something that you can do on some of these major platforms like Grab or Food Panda. It has to be ready now, right? So if you wanted to provide that experience, you just literally could not do that on other platforms, on particularly Food Panda and Grab Food. And same thing goes for getting your brand out there, getting people to know who you are and what you're all about. The drawback of some of these third-party platforms is that you get lost in the thousands of different options that are available, and sometimes your brand and what you're about and who you are is lost, and sometimes that's not even an option for you to show. So it's with this is one of the reasons why this merchant chose to go direct to consumer, is so they can showcase what they're about, showcase a lot more deeper information aside from the actual products that they're selling. The ability to customize the experience and accept pre-orders, and to increase your profit margins, right? At the end of the day, we have to make money, and this is really a great example of a merchant that is really going direct to consumer because of those three key advantages of that strategy. So that brings me to the last trend, and it's omni-channel retail, right? And what I mean by that is that there are many channels that you can sell on, especially now, with all of the social media platforms that are trying to integrate and trying to get more transactions on their platform, and really making it more e-commerce friendly. That is playing a huge role. And it's no longer about funneling all of your customers towards your preferred channel, right? You have to be very flexible and open to being present everywhere. And I'm gonna share the 4 key channels to succeeding in omni-channel retail, right? So as many of you guys know, marketplaces like Lazada, like Shopee, like Zalora, like Food Panda, GrabFood, and a few more, those channels are definitely very dominant in e-commerce today. I would say that the majority of e-commerce is flowing through these platforms. But what we've started to see is that a lot of this e-commerce volume is slowly going towards other channels, right? So we've seen maybe as early as maybe 2 years ago, maybe 80-90% of all e-commerce is going through marketplaces. Now, because of social media and because of all these tools that are available now, that is slowly decreasing. And kind of what we foresee is marketplaces playing a smaller role, right? And you're seeing this in a country that's very near to us, in Thailand, where they saw that same trend of being very marketplace dependent. But I think as of last year, social commerce has taken over marketplaces, and that's something that we have the opportunity to do, right? But I don't mean that you should not be in marketplaces. I think that marketplaces will always play a big part in e-commerce, and it may play a big part in your company, right? Because that's where the buyers are. If you put yourself in from a buyer's perspective, in many cases, it's the most convenient. It's sometimes cheaper, and as a buyer, sometimes you just want to do what's the easiest way, right? So it's important that if it's relevant for your company, that you should be on marketplaces, because that's where the buyers are. But at the same time, as I mentioned earlier about the Philippines being the social media capital of the world, social media is playing a huge role in e-commerce and e-commerce growth, and that's probably where your customers are. right? You, again, like I said, you cannot expect to funnel and force your customers to your preferred platform or your preferred channel. Customers and buyers these days expect to be served wherever they want to be served. So you have to be present where they are, right? Whether that's Facebook, whether that's TikTok, which is where a lot of customers are these days, whether that's Instagram, wherever they are, you have to be there. And there's a lot of tools out there that can help you do that. And the third channel is your own website. And your own website allows you to create a much more customized experience, right? So an example would be, in the marketplace, you cannot really create a customized experience. You have to follow the rules and the flows of a marketplace. There's little room for customization, and maybe you can show your brand a little bit, but I think that customized experience is one of the more lacking features of a marketplace. When you go to social media, you have a little bit more flexibility in showcasing your brand, but again, it is kind of limited to how they operate, and again, very restricted in terms of a customized experience. So having your own website allows you to showcase your brand, allows you to tell a story about your brand if that's important to showcase what you're all about, and really create a customized experience. And that food example on Centro is a really great example of that. And there's many more examples of how you can customize an experience on your own website. And last but not least is having an offline presence. And this is not relevant to everyone, but it is relevant to and important to those that are selling products that would be beneficial for your customers to feel, to try on, to see, to smell, to perhaps even taste. There's been a lot of talk, and recently in the recent years about online is gonna replace offline commerce, and I think what's been happening over the past few years is that everyone's kind of realized that it's not either or. It's you can benefit from both. The use of if you're mainly an online-based brand, again, you can benefit from an offline presence if you sell things that need to be tried on, felt, stuff like that. And on the other end of things, if you're very offline heavy and you have a lot of retail stores, having an online presence is necessary, because that's where the buyers are, that's where the customers are, and especially at this time when not everyone can go out, an online presence is more important than ever. And I'll show you guys a couple of examples, right? One example is of a very well-known and big brand in Zalora, right? Many of you guys have heard of that. They're probably the #1 fashion retailer online, and something that they realize is that yes, they sell clothes, and it's very important in many cases that people see, feel the fabric, try on the clothes. So they have set up some offline stores to be able to achieve this. And Some of them are temporary. Some of them might be there for longer, but it's, I'm sure many of you have seen some of these pop-up shops of Zalora. But it's not just limited to large companies like Zalora anymore. Because, I think the thing that you're probably thinking in your mind right now is it's very expensive to have a store in the mall. And you can't afford it. And that's true. It's very expensive. But there are companies like, Society 8 that help online brands have an offline presence. And what they do is they combine many of these online stores into one store. So as you can probably see from the image, or maybe not, you can see that there are different stalls for different brands. So now the limitation, or the cost of having an offline presence has been drastically reduced because you're sharing a space with other brands, right? And it could also help your brand, right? Because I think some of you may be thinking that you're going to be competing against other clothing brands, and sure, that may be the case in some cases. But I think that a lot of maybe you can see it in the picture that a lot of these products are very complementary. You can see a bag on one rack, you can see a blouse on another, and maybe a skirt on another, and you can kind of mix and match from different brands, and that could help increase the sale of your own product. So that concludes the key trends that I think that you guys can take, that you guys can implement now. And if anyone has any questions or anything at all, please feel free to email me at the email on the screen. I would be happy to answer any of your questions, whether it's related to UBX products, Centro, Bucks, CCAP, happy to help. But if it's, even if it's just about, e-commerce and your strategy, and you just have questions about it, I definitely be happy to help. So thank you, everyone. I enjoyed this, and I'd be happy to take some questions.
Hi, Bjorn. This is Marga from the UnionBank Global Linker team. So we actually have a lot of questions for you, and it's very interesting. Even I myself, I have a lot of questions for you. So the first question would be something about social media, since you said that the Philippines is the social media capital, right? Mm-hmm. Do paid ads really work? And how can SME owners rather grow their online presence?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a digital marketing expert, right? But I can tell you that ads do work. We've used ads particularly on Facebook, and it has allowed us to successfully sign up over 100,000 entrepreneurs onto Bucks, and it has helped us sign up over 30,000 shops onto Centro. And Facebook has been making it a lot easier for just startup entrepreneurs to use the tool, right? You don't need to have a firm help you do it. You can do it yourself. It's about experimentation. There's a lot of YouTube tutorials online. I suggest that people watch that. There's a lot of people willing to help. You can do it yourself. It's all about experimentation. You can start with 100 pesos and learn and do it yourself.
Cool. So like what Bjorn said, you can actually post ads for 100 pesos. Now, the next question would be that a lot of people are doing live selling these days. I'm sure it's a big hit right now. And do you think that this is actually applicable to all kinds of brands?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's applicable to all. But live streaming and live selling is very early. It's very early. There's a lot of experimentation with brands going on now. But I could say that, it couldn't hurt to try, right? I mean, I think it's definitely more relevant for those types of products that require a demo. Because sometimes it's hard to kind of achieve that in a pre-recorded demo. Cooking is one example. There's many examples. And again, there's tools out there to allow you to experiment and do it yourself. You don't have to do it through, an influencer on Kumu or an influencer on Shopee. There's tools available where you can actually host it yourself. And there's a lot of popular products and people out there. Like I was talking to a colleague of mine the other day, and she was mentioning that she's a fan of K-pop, and there's a lot of Facebook communities that just host their own live selling event for some K-pop items, and they sell out in a matter of minutes. So I would say try it out.
All right. So we have another question for the non-techie people, because as you know, some people are very apprehensive to go digital, even if like it's the pandemic, right? So how do you encourage them to increase their digital presence and, to try this out?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll take this opportunity to, invite everyone just to go to centro.ph. It'll literally take you 2 minutes to start selling online, right? And you don't have to think about payments, logistics, it's all there. But aside from that, right? I mean, Centro can't serve all of your needs, right? We're not a social network, but we can help you sell better on your social networks. For example, if you have a Facebook shop, which is available to all Facebook users, you can link that up to your Centro store and gain all of those advantages that Centro has in payments and logistics, and still complete the sale on Facebook. So that would be, I guess, my number one tip.
All right. Thanks for that. That's really cool. So guys, check out Centro. So the next one would be, I'm getting a lot of questions right now. And the next one would be about influencers. So are social media influencers necessary? Because this owner said that some social media influencers actually buy their followers. So is it necessary? And is it a good strategy rather?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of advantages to influencers, right? And the comment about kind of influencers buying followers is true, and that's why it's important that you choose your influencers very carefully. Just because an influencer has 100,000 followers, it doesn't mean that it's going to work, right? Actually, for me, that signals that it won't work, because that means that the more followers you have, the less intimate the community is, and the less kind of conversations that the influencer can have with their followers. So something that we do in UBX is we look for micro influencers, and there's even a trend now in nano influencers where the smaller the following, the better the chance that product is going to sell, because the influencer or the social media account owner has direct relationships with their followers, and their followers would then trust them. So anything that not anything they say, but something that they say will probably influence their followers to buy even more. So pick and choose, and this size doesn't matter. Size does matter. Smaller would probably be better.
All right, that's really interesting, because usually people look at the number of followers and they give free stuff to them, right, to plug. But that's such an interesting strategy to to target those that don't have as many followers. Now, since a lot of your initiatives are digital, so since everything is actually digital these days, some people are still looking for that human touch or empathy. So how do you ensure that this is still present in the digital age?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a hard one to achieve, right? But I think again with the ability to it would be much harder to achieve that with if you're selling directly on marketplaces, right? I think that it's important to have a social media presence across many platforms, right? And it doesn't have to be solely about selling your product, right? It's for example, having a TikTok channel that is maybe about whatever's trending at that moment in time, and really not really about selling, but really just connecting with your audience and making sure that they connect with you. I think that's important. And really having, again, you have to have your own presence, whether that's on social media, whether that's on your own website, so you can customize the experience. You can utilize the platform to tell your story and to communicate with your audience better.
All right. So besides the pandemic, what are the major drivers for the e-commerce explosion in the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, I think, aside from the pandemic, right? The pandemic has done a lot. I mean, we were on this trend to begin with. The pandemic just accelerated it. And it's given rise to some of these trends that I mentioned earlier, right? In that because of this, because everyone was stuck at home, people had to entertain themselves, and that kind of resulted in some social media platforms becoming more popular during this time, and then trying to integrate commerce into those platforms. And I think it's because of that, everyone is online now, right? I mean, virtually everyone's online. If they're not online, I have no idea why they're not online now. They must be bored out of their mind. But it's really all of these different platforms that are now kind of trying to integrate commerce into their platforms, and that's happening at a much more rapid pace now, and that's something to look out for. All platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, everyone is trying to integrate commerce into their platform. Yeah.
Right. So since you've mentioned about TikTok, I mean, a lot of brands are on TikTok right now. How do you create an effective ad? What would be a good strategy? All these short videos are like popping up like mushrooms. So any tips for our business owners on how they can utilize all these channels?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, there's, because of the internet and these kind of more immersive experiences like YouTube in particular, right? There's been a lot of, what people have realized, which would be kind of crazy before, is, one example is, who would have thought 5 years ago that millions of people would enjoy watching people eat food, right? Who would have thought that millions of people would enjoy a video of someone popping, styrofoam or something like that, right? So, this trend is, kind of ASMR, and so I guess where I'm getting at is, like, if you can make a short video, let's say on TikTok, that is entertaining, that showcases your product, I suggest you do it. And one example I'll give you is, I came across this this product. It's a US-based product, and I forgot the name of the product or the name of the company, but it's a simple tool that allows you to fold your shirt in like 2 seconds. So they created this very funny video of a person just folding all of these clothes using this tool, and it went viral, and it was entertaining. So if you can make an entertaining video with your product, you should try it, and that's the way to do it.
All right. So we have another question here. Personally, sir, what would be your personal favorite social media platform for promoting a small business? Like, in your case, yeah.
Good question. I mean, for me personally, right? Because it would depend on your audience, right? It would depend on your audience and depend on, the actual product and business. Me, I'm a little old school. I'm a little older. So like for me, I don't know if I would call it my favorite, but I would definitely call it maybe my go-to social media platform, because that's where my customers would be for my business, is Facebook. I wouldn't call it my favorite because I love it. I use it the most because that's relevant to my audience. But like as an outsider, if I was new to e-commerce, I would definitely continue to watch out what TikTok's doing, and some of these upcoming social media platforms like Kumu is doing some really great things locally, and I suggest everyone kind of check out what they're doing, because they're also trying to integrate e-commerce more and more.
All right. Actually, that's really cool. And I also tried to watch some streams on Kumu, and it's really effective. Now, what would be the future of e-commerce after COVID? Like, what would e-commerce be after COVID? Do you have any outlook or predictions for this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're going to continue to see e-commerce grow. I mean, like I said in my first slide, the projected amount of transactions by 2025 is $15 billion. That's triple what it is now. I think we'll go past that. I think that we will see some payment methods that will become more and more popular, that will slowly displace cash even more. Some of you may have heard of buy now, pay later. I think that's an emerging payment method that is fairly new in the Philippines, that will become very popular in the next year or two. That will, I think, bring a lot of more people onto e-commerce. Just like how COD broadened the market a few years ago, I think buy now, pay later has the same. Will have the same effect. So, yeah.
All right. So to close this, I actually have 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
First, it would be: are there any new platforms upcoming from UBX that will strengthen this thrust? And the second question would be: what would be your inspirational message to all the SME owners right now who are really struggling in the pandemic?
Okay, yeah. So I would say that upcoming for us, relevant, very relevant to MSMEs. I think we have our payment platform Bucks. We're going to be adding more and more payment methods that are relevant to all of your buyers. We are, I guess, adding a lot of features that would help automate a lot of your processes. I can't really mention exactly what those are, but please stay tuned. A lot of developments there. On the Centro side, I would say, again, we're also adding features every week to make it easier. I think that we're also whatever Bucks does benefits Centro. We're going to be benefiting from that. We're also adding more logistics partners to make it even more comprehensive. We have CCAP, one of our ventures that helps businesses with loans. We're doing very well now, and I think that there's going to be a lot of collaboration between all of the ventures within UBX that'll make things a lot more cohesive and seamless. And as for, I guess, my advice for everyone out there, it's I think if anyone is afraid to start, the hardest part is going from 0 to 1. And once you start trying, everything from that point on will be easier. And so I suggest everyone just take that leap of faith, start. There's a lot of tools out there to help you. UBX was formed to help SMEs, so we're here to help. Me personally, just email me if you have any questions. But just start, and it'll be a lot easier once you start.
All right. So thank you so much for that very inspiring talk, sir. I'm sure that a lot of people are excited, to try all your platforms. And guys, if you have any questions, you can always email Sir Bjorn. Now, this is our last session. I'd like to thank again Sir Bjorn for being with us today. Let me close this by saying, don't be afraid to start and just do it. So you've heard a lot of inspiring messages today, and we still have one last day, and that is our day 3 for tomorrow. Now, I would like to also plug that we have a cool virtual photo booth. So we'll be displaying the link there. So it's bit.ly/Laban Negosyante. So feel free to take your photos and submit it, because we will be choosing some winners for this, and the prize is a surprise. Now, let me give back the floor to Carl. Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.